It's something I tell people all the time. It's not that we are sad that we're not in the limelight when you finish rugby anymore. It's a case of not knowing where on earth you fit in. You have this defined space in rugby, like you said. It's like carved out for you. That's where you fit in, do your job, and get.
Welcome to Unshakeable, the podcast that shares stories of resilience in the face of life's toughest challenges. I'm your host, Siviwe Shakes Soizwapi, and each week we dive into real conversations that not only inspire but help us grow, offering insights on how to navigate our own struggles with strength and purpose. Because resilience isn't about being unbreakable, it's about standing firm when life tries to shake you. This is Unshakeable. Let's get into it.
Hello, beautiful people. Thank you for clicking onto this video.
I can't believe you didn't throw like a thank you for clicking on there. Come on.
That would be too close.
That was too easy.
Anyway, come along with me. I'm chilling here with Kyle Brown. I actually first imagined that I'd stand there without Kyle in the frame, kind of get the intro going and then introduce him, but you know what, things happen.
I jump in for stupid, I can't help myself.
No, that's
and I just want to hold your hand through the intro, the first intro, you know?
That's actually brilliant because, I don't want it to be an interview, I want us to, just, like you said,
chat to Biggie Ball,
hang Friday night and just catch up.
I just wanted to be known that I did offer you a glass of wine, but you were reluctant because you're leaving on tour in a couple of days, and body is a temple and all that kind of thing.
That's the biggest problem. The body is a temple. So for me, it's
for a while.
Water over wine. Thank you, Breezy. Thank you that we can actually have it here at your crib.
Cool,
as I said to you when I messaged you, I just wanted to be authentic, kids running around,
kids making noise in the background. You'll hear it all because we have a number of them.
Just making it as real as possible, but what are we doing here? We having conversations, and 2025 I thought, let me just do something that will be a bit uncomfortable, something that I think a lot of people are interested in, but it's just, like you said, starting.
It's quite a big step, eh? I think that not to say that you're in the space yet of transitioning out, but you're also looking forward to that time. And I think often what I've said to a couple of guys, and this is now being 5-6 years down the line, is just...
Has it been that long already?
Yeah, 2019. Is just to dive in, just get started, because it's highly unlikely that the first thing you try is going to be the one, So you're going to fail.
For sure.
So there's always that thinking about fail fast, fail forward, fail fast. Just get it over and done with, because the sooner you know that that's not for you is when you start moving a little bit closer to what you want to do.
This is one of the main reasons why I wanted you to be the first guy to do this. With the experience you have, I've watched a few of your interviews as well and podcasts, and I must not just because you're on this now, but I really admired having you in the team as well. I remember when we actually just started off with the Sevens.
When did you start?
End of 2015.
Okay.
I remember the guy that actually kind of drove the culture into us was mainly you, Philip, and Coach Phil, and of course Frankie.
I mean, it's we went through such a roller coaster those couple of years, and I think you came in at a good time. That whole culture discussion is a very interesting one, because I think people think it's perpetual, and people think it sort of happens overnight. And I often tell people when they want to know about the culture of the team and everything, that it started before I got there, and I got there 2008, end of 2008. There was some legendary 5-6 hour meeting in Manly in Sydney when the guys were there.
Okay.
And there they fleshed out everything with Paul True about, remember Pioneers of Greatness?
100%.
Was one of them, the unpacking Pioneers of Greatness. Greatness was domination over a number of years. Pioneers was being the first people to do it, to blaze that trail.
heard a lot about Manly, so really interested in this.
Yeah, so I wasn't even at that meeting, but I heard a lot about it myself.
Yeah.
But interestingly, we went on to win the series that next year, 2008-9, and it was kind of like it was actually a bit premature, you know.
Off the bat type of thing.
Kind of like just a great season, good squad. It was a pretty whirlwind for me because I was like, oh wow, this is cool. This is Sevens rugby. We just win, you know.
Yeah.
And that had never been done before, and it all pretty much came crashing down after that. Like 2009, 10, and 10, 11. I think we came like 6th and 7th after that. We had a number of guys leave for 15s, and we had to rejig the squad a little bit. We were circling a little bit with confidence. The one of those 2 seasons, we just couldn't make it out of a quarterfinal. It became like a massive monkey on our back. Anyway, the point of this whole thing was that it took us a long time to build that culture, pretty much from scratch, all right? And it you start to see the fruits of that, like 2013, 14, 15, and it starts to get better and better from there. 2013, we won the World Games in Colombia.
Saw that.
2000, and that was one of my hardest tournaments I've ever played against. It wasn't that the competition was insane, but it was like we took a bit of a development squad and a couple of experienced guys, and it's one of those where you ended up playing like every minute because you were one of the experienced guys, you know. And the pitch was rock hard, and the teams there was like all these South American teams, so they just wanted to tackle the shit. Like I ended up having both elbows strapped, a shoulder strapped, 2 ankles strapped, and
earned that gold, eh?
it was a great tournament. Then 14 was Commonwealth, 15, 16 we got into Olympics, blah blah. But anyway, it builds over time, and I think for me one of the factors was that there were a number of guys that actually chose to make sevens their life. Like Frankie, Branko, Sissel, Chris Try, myself.
Legends of Springbok Sevens.
You know, guys that carried it, and that's when you've got like a core like that. That's when you can actually take something and run with it. And then because you've got like a critical mass to control that culture, to that when new guys come in, it's 1 or 2, you know, and they can't influence the mass like where you've got 6 and then 6 new guys come in. Then there's there's a bit of a push and pull between things, and because of the experience that we had going through the very difficult times, you start to understand how important the good times are and how valuable they are. So you become fiercely protective of them. So you know how shit was back in the day. And then as you went through that and you grow and you build and you build and you build, you understand how precious that time is. And that's why, so long answer to your thing was, long rationale to your thing was that we had a couple guys that were like, we would die for that culture, for that team. Call it the team, the culture, whatever it is, because we knew how was. And it's like, I'm not going back there. You know, I don't want to go back to the point where we were when we suckled to get out of a quarterfinal.
It actually makes me feel a lot at ease. It's tough times for us as well. So it makes me feel at ease about the dark times that we're going through. Hoping that in the future, then it will be something that we want to protect and not go back to those hard times again. But we'll chat more about the. I
want to stick on that for a bit because. So one thing that I've left rugby and taken the thinking behind that and then questioned it in like the world of parenting is that how, and there's a lot of parents and a lot of people you'll know that will have a similar situation where the parents go through like, I started from nothing and and I've made like a lot of money now. How do you, because it's likely that a lot of those hard times created your success. You know, your perseverance, your resilience, your robustness in the tough time. How do you replicate that for your children? So you can move that to the team, you know, they're not my children, but the new generation comes in, they come in, oh man, we're winning everything. How do you replicate the tough times that create the harder individual in that team? And it's a similar question. So I just do it in the parenting sphere now. Like, how do I create an environment for my kid where he needs to learn the lessons that I learned, but he's definitely not going to go through the same tough times? Can I artificially create the tough times for him? Do I make it more difficult for him? you know, and that's so yes, I mean, if you want to look at the upside of going through a difficult time with the squad, is that there are lessons to be learned there.
Yeah.
If you're ready to learn them. If you're not ready to learn them, then they're just going to be tough times for a long time.
You know, when you played the game, it was almost, you had to, it was your work. When you woke up in the morning, you knew you had a responsibility to the country, to your family, to your teammates. Now, you don't have to. How do you still keep that fire
not in
burning?
a sporting context, but there's different fires, and
otherwise you wouldn't have had the six-pack that you're still packing on now, you know?
There's different fires now, and that's, so I think for me, when leaving rugby, a lot of people have asked, like, are you still involved? And I'm not at all, really.
Is that how you always wanted it?
Completely intentional, yes. I think I like to consider that I have half a brain, and I think there's a lot of other avenues to explore. Not to say that being in rugby means that you don't have a brain. I just want to try stretch it in different areas.
100%.
You know, and I studied while playing, and that degree took me like 8 years. So, you know, maybe I'll just use it somewhere. Maybe otherwise it's gone to naught. I thought 11 or 12 years in professional rugby was plenty, and I thought there was definitely time to explore something else. And I knew it was going to be tough. I didn't realize how tough it was going to be. I think it probably took me about 3 years to find my feet.
All these guys finish and they go coach. I mean,
it's the easiest.
That never even crossed.
It's the easiest out.
Mind?
No, it's funny. Neil actually sat down with me when I was finishing, and he was like, "Do you want to coach?" And I said, "No." You know, I was really like, I was quite set on the fact that I didn't want to be in rugby. I think for ex-rugby players, I think the sporting world can draw you back in with like quick fixes, you know, coach here for 3 months and then do this engagement and do this talk, and then
nothing sustainable.
Yeah, but ultimately nothing sustainable. Exactly. It's these little hits that keep coming, and I'd prefer to accept those gigs on top of something foundational.
For sure.
So I sometimes do some media, some like commentary work.
What did you transition into? What did you study for 8 years?
So I studied finance, majoring in investment management.
Okay.
I got an honors in that. And when I left, it sort of went into lockdown quite shortly after that. And we had a coffee company, myself and Cecil and Philip.
Yeah.
And have, you know, I that's where I was for 2 years, and I ran that from about 2020 till 2022. That is a hard experience. That was a hard experience. I think, and I wouldn't, you know, have normally spoken on an open platform about it, but like, I don't think the three of us were aligned on where we wanted to go with the company.
Yeah.
You know, and that created some conflict between the three of us.
Yeah.
I think that conflict still, for a large part, still stands today, which sucks.
Yeah.
You know, because I think when you spend 10 years of your life side by side with somebody, you'd want a good friendship after that. And I think that we put some nails in that friendship, and it wasn't, you know, it wasn't good.
Even the concept of 18, like
it's a cool concept, you know. It was, so I mean, that as a company, it's a tough thing to talk about. You know? It is I'm happy to talk about it. It's difficult. 18 as a concept was very cool. The three of us, our three numbers made up 18. It's a coffee company. The reason for starting it was that we would go to coffee places all over the world, and we just thought, like, this is unbelievable. Like, why can't we create a space like this, create a brand like this? And like I said, I think there was a misalignment. I got in and drove it for almost 2 years, and I wanted to go like nationwide. You know, every retail store must have our coffee. It was going to be big. It would require a lot of investment and time and everything, which, as far as the alignment went, they didn't see it that way, and that created a lot of frustration in my heart. So then ultimately I needed to step out of that, and I was looking potentially at asset management, somewhere in the investment environment. And then I went on a charity cycling trip, and I met a guy who, it's funny enough, he told me we do corporate bespoke risk management. And I was, sorry, Maxie's having a little fight up there. And I was quite intrigued by that. So then we picked up the conversation in Stellenbosch, and he said, I'm at an insurance brokerage. And I had a chat to my uncle. I use him as a sounding board every now and then. He lives in America. And I said to him, got these 2 options. And he said to me, so how many people do you know in asset management? And I said, oh, quite a lot. And he said, how many do you know in insurance? And I said, none. And he says, well, that's probably a good place to start then, you know. Yeah. And I just was like, it was interesting because I often liken insurance as a financial service to sevens, where it's a slightly smaller pool. All right, because you got all your alpha males and your bank bros and, you know, those kind of guys all going to a hedge fund, to investment banking, to asset managers, you know. And then you've got insurance as this like red-headed stepchild of financial services, but equally as important, everybody requires insurance.
Yeah.
You know.
Did they welcome you as the Carl Brown or just...
So it's funny, initially I got the gig because the guy was like, I think he was like, oh, this guy will be a great salesman. You know, he's probably got a contact list that's longer than the yellow pages, and get him on board, he'll sell for us. And I never liked the idea of sales. Excuse the banging. I never liked the idea of sales. So initially when my contract came back, I was like, oh no, you know, sales seems like a dirty word in our generation, you know. Yeah. Nobody wants to be a salesperson.
It's graft.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like 12, 18 months later, on the other side of it, I'm like, properly. You are like, you're employable everywhere. Yeah. Absolutely everywhere. You are golden. People will always have a space for you. If you can bring in money, if you can bring in revenue to a business, like, you know, you've got a space. Everything else is considered a cost center. You know, like centralized functions, administration, compliance, marketing, operations, all a cost center. It all just takes money from the business. Yeah. If you can be somebody who's able to be good with people, understand your product, understand where your product fits into their life, and you can sell it, you're golden. You know, and it's funny as a generational thing, like, our generation and maybe the slightly, no, probably not above us. I think it's probably starts around our generation and below that. Sales is like a dirty word. Yeah. You know, you must see all the replacement names that have come over, like business development, new business executive. It's all salespeople, you know, but it's just a whole different title to make you feel a little bit warmer inside. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, I kind of changed a little bit to more the broking side, and that's developed into, so I got a friend whose company is the Solar Group, very big renewable energy company, and they asked us to pitch on a project of theirs. We ended up coming second. We didn't get the gig and everything, but I was hurt when we lost out. And it was the first time I'd felt like losing in sport. Nice. And then I was like, shit. Maybe this is what I like, you know, this is what I dig, is the renewable energy stuff, because that's a good balance between sort of like the old, you're in insurance and renewable energy insurance. So often I tell people I'm insurance and their face kind of drops a little bit, and I'm like, but I'm in renewable energy insurance. Oh, wow, that's interesting. And I'm like, it's all the same principles, it's just a different market.
Also sounds like, I mean, you played, and I know as a professional that kind of your week is set out for you when you are a professional rugby player. Your week is set out. You don't have to do a lot of thinking. Your flights are booked for you. The hotel room is ready. You know, all those lower things that kind of the perks of being a pro. It sounds like the transition required you to kind of start all over, and I don't know if you needed to learn how to kind of apply yourself in that way.
So it's interesting, like that year that I retired in May 2019. And I looked at a bunch of things. I set up like a Road to the Olympics behind the scenes TV thing, and I sort of pitched it to Elma, and she was like, Super Sport won't bite, bullshit, cool. There were a couple other things I looked at. Then the one thing I put together was this idea of like the athlete recruitment company, because I'm like, I don't understand what's wrong. Like, why are athletes so unemployable? You know, so try to look at that problem. Still got it's like 17 pages, and I still got the date on it. It's like November.
But what do you mean? Like, if you don't study, who's going to employ you? Or if you don't have, you qualify?
Because studying is like, it's only a very small part of the employability. Okay. It really is. It's a tiny part. So you're thinking more
business and...
business everywhere, you know? Like, there are so many companies out there that would rather you didn't study because you just learned a bunch of bad habits. that if you came in and you did like the good old days, like a 3-year apprenticeship, and we teach you exactly how to do something our way, the way we do it. But like, people don't want that anymore. They don't want to do, and they don't want to like suck up a low salary to learn as much as they can for a longer term plan, because it's like, I need to do 2 years here, then jump 2 years here, jump 3 years there, bounce around to like play this person against the other one for a salary kind of thing. They're not looking at like building a long term career. They're building their salary.
I hear you. Did you find a reason why they're not employable?
So the whole, I mean, I'll share it with you at some point. You have a read through. It's like the entire idea behind it is getting players who understand that they're in the last, like sunsetting their career, last 2 years, 3 years of the career, aligning them with industries and companies that they're interested in, and getting them some exposure to those companies. And once they, and then that was like the first little bit. But I think what you were talking about was the first little bit of it is the player comes in, you do these personality tests, maybe you can do your career assessment, or whatever it is, and then you do like workplace etiquette. Like how to send an email, you know, like not hey bra, like I'll check you later kind of thing. You know, you learn how to send an email, how to structure it, how to book a meeting with somebody, whether it's online or not. But all of that kind of stuff is, I had that in my head as that needs to be part of the bundle, because you need to learn how to show up in the work environment too. You can't just arrive there and be like, oh, you know, need something done for myself the whole time. Like you need to go there with a plan. You need to go there with an idea of what to do. And then the idea was that you know, within the rugby network, I don't think we would even have to look much wider than the rugby network. All the sponsors of the different unions are companies. They would love to have some time with a player and expose that player. And then once that connection is built quite nicely, could be, I called that the courting period, that the company has decided, okay, well, like we quite like this guy, would be keen to see him here in 18 months time when he's finished his career. And the player, like the company, they would actually sign something contractual to say, then the company can come in and say, well, we actually use this course, follow this course for the next 6 months and do this, and keep coming here every Wednesday and Friday if possible. By the end of your career, we'll take you on slightly lower salary, but you secured a job for the next 12 months.
That worked out well for you. But also, what would you say, like, because I know a lot of the guys, respectfully, they play, and then when we stop playing, we actually don't know what to do. What are we doing wrong?
I don't think we're getting any exposure to what's out there. So my problem is, I studied finance. Shakes, like, finance is an ocean. What level of finance would you like to get into? You know, there's about 5 million streams of finance to get into, but I have no idea what they do. Like, I spoke to a friend, and I said to him, maybe I'll do my CFA, which is hard. You know, you have to really commit time to it. And he's like, don't be ridiculous. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why wouldn't we do a CFA? He says, no, because you're a number cruncher. You are good with people. I've never seen where that is applied in a job, so I don't know what it means. And I think it's about like drawing the curtain back behind things that we look at and go, oh man, that looks so cool. And then you draw the curtain back and you're like, is that what you do on a day to day? Well, maybe not. You know? So I think that's the difficulty is and that's something I tell people all the time. It's not that we are sad that we're not in the limelight when you finish rugby anymore. It's a case of not knowing where on earth you fit in. You know, you have this defined space in rugby, like you said, it's like carved out for you. That's where you fit in, do your job, and get on with it. Go succeed.
Then it becomes a bubble.
And we'll do all the admin for you to make sure you succeed, like you were saying. And then you leave, and then you're like, okay, so where do I what do I do on this planet now? You know, like, I studied this, but I don't really know what they do. Like, Impy studied engineering. I don't think he's had more than a week's exposure to proper engineering, you know, which line he wants to go into, which company he could go into, because again, he would branch off in his degree into a number of different sectors. And which sector would you like to go to? And that's the point of the last year or two, where you try facilitate some kind of exposure. Okay, that's mechatronics, that's civil, whatever it is, you know, and you're like, oh, I quite like building bridges.
But I'm sure you already started thinking about that then. Already, while you're still playing.
I mean, he actually sent me the athlete recruitment proposal thing, and I read to it, and we actually got onto the topic of chatting about it, and he actually gave me a referral of a guy. So there's a guy in church that I know. He's got his own company, like just across the street here from Waterford, and they do fire engineering.
Yeah.
And it's a completely new concept to me because it's not something that you can go study just in South Africa. It's only Stellenbosch offer it as a kind of master's degree.
Yeah.
So that is a completely new landscape for me. So I kind of went into that for a little bit. But as Carl said, like I've only been there a few times. I've only seen what they do. Like I have a lot of engineering mates. I kind of know what they do, but you don't really see what they do.
Yeah.
So like you hear they're doing this, or this guy's into boilers, and this guy's in the mine, and but you don't know what they do until you physically go and walk a day in their shoes, or a week or a month. You know. So I think in that aspect, like I'm not worried, but I'm like, okay, what is next for me? Because I'm also coming to the end stages of my career, possibly. So it's something that
you are. Yes. I'll confirm for you, you're definitely coming to the end. Whether now or in the next 2 years, you're coming to the end. It always ends. It doesn't continue forever. When you're done here, you cut it. There's no bulant, there's no glucose, there's no pumas.
I actually heard that towards the end, like there's this in denial that you have, and I'm not done. I'm not done.
You are done. Go run a marathon. It's much better.
It's true. I think once I'm done with sevens, like I don't want to be that guy that
you've got a lot to give in this world, and I think that's what a lot of the players need to hear is you've got a lot to give in this world. And I know it's flipping scary. It's really scary. It's really scary for everybody. It's scary if you have a degree. It's scary if you've got a dad who has friends with a lot of jobs offers for you. It's scary then too, I promise you. Ask James Murphy. But so there's a lot of it's going to be scary everywhere. The point is you dive in, all right, as close to where you want to be as possible. And then you will figure out from there that whether it's closer to your path or further away. You know, and that's all you've got. You know, and then you just start edging closer to where you want to be.
Is that diving into it? Is that studying something? Because I'm actually glad we're getting into this, and because I'm also very close to finishing off. Is that the solution? Study something? Or, I mean, you said the world is massive. There's a lot of options. And it's a question that I'm asking because I just like to open some eyes to current players, to young boys coming through. And you've been there, so I think you're the best person to answer that question.
I don't want to say no. Like, obviously, studies always help. Right? The issue is that a lot of people don't have the capacity to do a 3-year degree. It's just fact. You know, if you look at the population of
is that why it took you 8?
Sure. Excuse.
Sorry.
I had other things to do at the time.
I'm also taking forever. It's not easy.
I'll run you through the maths of my 8 later. Okay. All right. I don't want to say no, but at the same time, it's not the be all and end all. All right. I think there are on-the-job experience opportunities where it costs the company nothing and it costs you nothing. You know, it might be a friend of a friend, like MP said. It might be working through the Saru sponsorship network and saying, listen, I like marketing, you know. Who does the marketing for SA Rugby? Can I go spend some time there, understand what the business is about? Can I get some experience? Can I work on a project with you guys? That's CV stuff, That's CV stuff. You can then back that up with a diploma or whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, it's work that's done. All right, and then you will get a reference from a person there. Listen, you know, I'm applying to this job. Give the guys at SA Rugby a call. I worked with them for a couple months on this campaign, launch of the New Jersey or whatever it is. You'll get a reference. That is far more powerful than you got to BCom, you got to BCom, you got to BCom, you got to BCom. Cool. Can you actually do the job? That's the only thing that matters. Can you do the job? There's a lot of people that can talk, but the only thing that really matters is getting the job done. Is conversion. All right, and that's something that I want to pin my career on. Like, I want to be that guy that when he says something, it gets done. Genuinely, like that's something now live. What I'm trying to do in my company is, if I say something, I want to get it done. I want to convert. I don't just want to talk, because everybody, you'll see in the business environment, everybody can talk. Bring in millions. You know, cut this deal. We do that. We'll launch. We'll go live to market. Bruce, shut up. Just get it done. Stop talking. You know.
Do you ever miss the old days playing rugby?
No.
I expected that answer.
I had a couple of years ago when I was sitting at my desk doing some administration behind my laptop for like the 7th hour of the day.
Yeah.
I did have a little bit of a crisis in my head.
Is this like your first couple of years?
First year or so at the insurance brokerage. And I thought to myself, and I think I phoned Taryn at the same time, I was like, has my life peaked? Was that it? Was that as exciting as my life was going to get? You know, but that's the thing: is you rationally from the outside, it can't be. Yeah. But from the inside, you're thinking, bro, I ran out in front of like 60,000 people, and they went mad for me.
Yeah,
that's not happening again. You know, that's never happening again unless I become like an idol or something, like pop stars or something. Okay.
Not with that voice.
I don't miss the game. I think you give it your all, you have your good shot, and I often said to people like, I got 11 years, Shakes, like that. Proper. That's like double the time that most people would hope to be in rugby. Most people hope to get 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
To get 11, that's nuts, you know. Yeah. And from where I came from, like complete left field, no Craven week, like. I don't know if you know the story of how I even made it into the setup.
I know. I did my research.
Yeah. So like, you know, to be able to get 11 years, you know, like it's cool. It's cool. And my conversation with Neil at the end was hard, but cool, you know?
Yeah.
2018-19. In my head, we got 10 tournaments. I'm going to play 6. The last 2, number 5 and 6, are in LA or USA and Vancouver. Yeah. My uncle that I was speaking about lives in America. I was going to finish off there. He saw me at the beginning. He was at Edinburgh when we played our last tournament in the 2008-9 season. He's been there whole run, right? It's going to end off in LA. We went to New Zealand and Australia. And in Australia, it was the first time that I played player 13. JC came in. Cool, happy for the kid, all right? And after that, we got home and Neil sat me down and he said, that's it, that's your touring done.
Yeah.
That's your career finished. For the next 4 or 5 months, you will, you'll join the academy and you'll help groom the guys, so just to ensure that they transition easily. And I was like, phew. You know, like the picture that you get with the dudes running out with the kids on the field, nobody gets that. Like there are like a handful of people that get to home field run out, last crowd game, cheers for you, everybody goes mad, thank you for your contribution.
That picture you have in your head.
That picture. It's a picture. That's all it is. Yeah. And that was a super hard pill to swallow, but I think I have a lot of trust in Neil. Yeah. And I knew that he believed that was the right thing for the team. Yeah. And as much as that, our timelines, that's all it was. It was my timeline versus his timeline. Yeah. My timeline was 2 tournaments later. His timeline was at the end of that one.
Okay.
And that's all.
Okay.
It wasn't.
Did you chat about it?
I chatted to him. I said, yes, I was hoping to get 2 more.
Oh, yeah.
But like...
It is what it is.
It is what it is, you know.
And form plays a massive role.
And again, the rationale, the reasoning behind me wanting 2 more tournaments was completely subjective. It wasn't for the team. It was for me to play
have
with my uncle.
To have that fairy tale,
And that was hard, man. But that was great closure. Like, because of my attitude after that, because of going like, Kif, that was awesome. Yeah. Now I entered the academy setup for like 3 or 4 months. I had a jaw. Like I had a really, really good time there. I think I arrived with a great attitude to most sessions. Yeah. And that was a great way. In business, they call it like when somebody departs a company, you become like you either depart as a bad leaver or a good leaver. And I reckon I departed as a good leaver there. Like you try to give up as much as you can to all the young guys. You enjoy the last couple of days there. You're not playing competition anymore. The pressure's off. Just have a joy. When you run fitness tests, you smash the kids, you know, you make them know I'm still strong, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that I look back on that fondly because that was like, it was a cool time, man. Yeah. It was a cool time, but it was the end of 11 years, which was enough.
Yes.
It is
chapter
enough.
Closed.
It is enough, you know, like, and that's what I think a lot of people in South Africa, and a lot of, when I say people, I mean ex-rugby players.
Yes.
A lot of guys struggle with the fact that it wasn't, I suppose, on their terms. It's never going to be on your terms, but you can be okay with it also. You know?
Yes.
And so I think it was a really good time, man. And to answer your question, I don't miss it. I miss the environment every now and then. I miss and I don't miss the cutthroat high performance nature, because business likes to talk about high performance, love to talk about high performance, but if you look at it on a how much are you sacrificing basis, it's nowhere near high performance. Considering what we sacrificed in that time, social life, time with family, your body, your mind, all that you sacrificed and all that you gave into it, is that's approaching high performance, and you might not even be there then. And you get into an office environment and you see what people are not sacrificing, and they want to call it high performance. Okay, cool.
But tell me, I think we've actually kind of had a lovely chat this evening, but I've got one interesting question just for lach, but one serious one, like in the sense of, look, when I sat down and had this idea, I wanted to highlight perseverance, discipline. I wanted to more especially, I'll say it in front of everyone, for our black people, that self-confidence, and to just assert yourself more. So actually the name of the platform is Unshakeable. Unshakeable.
Great.
So what has been your toughest time? You can take it to rugby, you can take it to where you are now, or anything in between. But I think I'm more interested in where you are now with transitioning into the finance space. What's been the hardest thing? And out of that, I'm just trying to get that grit story and that perseverance.
To be honest, Shakes, I mean, the hardest part was the coffee time. It was really the hardest part, and I think it's probably because it wasn't where I was meant to be. So you'll know, but it took me way too long to step out. So when you feel that feeling of like complete discomfort, uncomfortable is one thing, like a bit of discomfort when you're not feeling confident is one thing. That's fine. That is fine, because you'll learn. But when you start to get like heart sore about where you are, and you're really not feeling, you're uncomfortable. Like there were tears. There were times that there were tears about where I was.
But I'm sure you were happy it happened though. In terms of just lessons and where, or you.
I don't know.
Or you wouldn't have had it. You wouldn't have wanted to go.
I can't say that either, because I learned a lot about business in those 2 years. A lot about business, but it was a hard lesson, and potentially 2 lost friendships. That sucks. I don't like to think of it in that way, but
potentially.
But the perseverance side of it is like. So it's more, for me, it's discipline. Like I like what you said, perseverance and discipline, they kind of go hand in hand for me. And I think the discipline side of it is I maintain the training stuff. I think that's really important for me. I think I've seen a lot of guys that's a huge part of our life. It's a massive part of our life, and it's an enabler for what we do on the field on a day-to-day basis. There's some strange connection for me in the fact that if I get up and I train really hard in the morning and I arrive at the office, I already feel powerful.
Won the day.
I've already won the day. I can already feel better in my head. Transitioning into a new environment is always going to make you feel insecure. Always, 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 without a doubt. You can study all that you want. But the point is, like, academic and practical are 2 different things. You might understand the jargon, but you probably have no idea what's going on in that environment. And that's also okay. I guarantee you, the right company and the right people in the company will not expect you to be firing on day one. Not at all. They would have sussed you out already. They would have spent some time with you, and that's why I think it's important that people spend time with people in companies, because they need to get to know the person. The person is way more important. And say, this guy's up every second day riding a bike at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's not a slob. That's not a lazy guy, He's 2 years out of rugby. Look at the shape he's in. He's not going to lie on his arse all day.
Call him back up, man.
So that kind of thing is important. They need to meet that person. They need to get to know you. And when they get to know you, then there's a high likelihood they take a swing on you. And that's how I feel about Price Forbes, that they took a swing on me, and then it was up to me, right? They've taken a swing on me. Now I need to learn as quickly as possible. Now I need to be disciplined. Now I need to grow. Now I need to drive. Now I need to bring all the expertise that I learned in rugby bring that into the corporate environment while I'm learning the technical on the side of that.
Yeah.
And for me, that's how the transition for every player should look: is be a good person, all right, interview well. Okay, you're going to get to know the person, build a relationship. That's when they're more likely to take a swing on you. They're not going to take a swing on you from the first interview, say, oh, I studied this, and okay, but you've got no work experience. I guarantee you that's the one thing they'll always say to you. So it's more likely that they will take a shot if they know you as a human being, for one. And then when you get that chance, is to be as disciplined on what you did on the rugby field all the time with your learning, with your dedication to that space, to making the whole environment, like you did in the rugby environment, a better environment. So we've got this one of our values is be a positive charge. Be the bloody positive charge. Every single day, you'll see every company, people come, oh, it was a long drive, the traffic. Okay, but you're not dead, you know? So there's so much that you could do in taking from rugby. And bringing that into that space while you learn to be technically sound. And that also, Shakes, that's like a 5 to 10 year journey. Folks mustn't think that it's going to happen in 6 months. They're going to learn how to do a job and just be like, yeah, I'm brilliant at it. People build careers. The way that we built our rugby career, they built it over years, over decades, you know?
Be humble.
Be humble. Take it easy. Sit back a little bit. Take a look. See, learn from people. There's people everywhere, and there's a lot of the older generation that are also incredibly keen to help. Like there's a lot of people that are retiring that it's just they would love nothing more than to transfer that skill to somebody. You know, find those people out there.
Lovely. Breezy, thank you for your time, and the lach was just to find out from you why sex. So I really...
Why sex?
Yeah, I know. Look, I know you're a Cape Town boy and everything, but...
I'll tell you.
I asked James as well, why bishops? So...
Because he's got money, that's why.
Okay. Why sex?
Why sex? So, again, actually back to my uncle. I grew up in Bloberg, and my uncle that lives in America, he went to Sax. And my dad didn't feel particularly strongly about his school. And so Sax was on the radar. My mom, bless her soul, drove through from Bloberg and Melkbos every day for primary school. And it's only now that I've become a parent and done some driving to go like, she was nuts. It was absolutely crazy, you know?
Commute.
The commute. And then went to boarding school in high school. Loved that also. Really enjoyed it. Just more recently, I did a sort of a fundraising event there the other day, and it started at 6 and I arrived at about 4:30. Beautiful Wednesday afternoon. And there's a field next to the boarding school where the under 14 Bs were playing Bishops under 14 Bs in a pre-season match. Shit, I just sat there on that bench and I looked around and I messaged her and I was like, you can't believe how grateful I am to have been at the school. It was so beautiful. It's like everything that I try to remember of a schoolboy experience is there. It's happening still.
It's actually not a bad school. I was just teasing.
No, it's a lovely school, but we've got a lot of that in South Africa, and I think I would love to say that's one of the backbones of our society, you know, is great schools raising great human beings.
100%. Nah,
I mean, you went to a pretty decent school.
Not too bad, eh?
Yeah, all right.
Particularly around the times that we were there, but but it's not bad at all. But you know what? I'm just grateful for the time, Breezy.
Anytime.
Thank you. And I think there might be more. I think we can tap into a different topics and different...
I've done some co-hosting works. I wouldn't mind sitting on the chair next to you while we interrogate somebody.
100%. I'd love that as well. But so this little thing, I thought this is the perfect guy to kick off with. On this Unshakeable, let's call it a podcast. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for tuning into Unshakeable. If today's story moved you, inspired you, or gave you something to think about, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, resilience isn't about being unbreakable. It's about staying rooted when the world shakes. If you haven't already, hit follow, leave a review, and help us grow this community of resilient voices. Until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, stay unshakable.